we take the justice issues very seriously. That religious freedom is an important part. Involved as a cricket owner, he owns part of the Los Angeles team. Everybody in my office went nuts. They're like, "Oh my God, did you know who you met?" I said, "Yeah, Shahrukh Khan," but I didn't realize the level of love that there was across the country.
Yes.
And it's
one question is that what happened with you at a recent conclave, you spoke about human rights and citizens amendment bill. That became a little bit of a naughty affair. Then the State Department spokesperson said something about it, and that became complicated because the Indian External Affairs Ministry spokesperson, he said that partners, and I quote, partners and well-wishers of India should welcome the intent which this step has been taken. Do you see this as a problem area now with an American ambassador commenting on India's internal affairs?
No, it was the State Department that spoke first, and I just reiterated the State Department's position. So I wasn't making news, and we should get the sequence correctly.
Okay.
It's something that we monitor, and I said that. And I said in broad strokes that religious freedom is an important part of any democracy. Protecting minorities is very important. That doesn't have to be read negatively.
245,000 students that you spoke about. But of late, there are these Indian students, the attack on Indian students. So can you just, there are a number of Indian parents who are watching this podcast, students who are watching, who are going to be applying, and especially some of them who have already got acceptance from American campuses. There was also a video podcast by Indra Nui who explained as to what Indian students should watch out for when they go for studying to the US, which campuses, and how to be safe and secure. So could you tell me about the safety of Indian students?
Of course. Well, first and foremost, to any families, and I've talked to some of those families who have faced a tragedy with their own son or daughter. I mean, our hearts go out. We take the justice issues very seriously, of bringing to justice any perpetrators. With, 250,000 now a year, statistically, this is going to happen. But that's not acceptable to a parent if it happens to your child.
Sure.
So there are things we can do just to be aware, to have a heads up, to know which neighborhoods you should and shouldn't go into that are higher crime areas. The same sort of advice we give travelers when they go around the world, including to places like India. We know that these things can happen, but you can play a role in lessening the risk. Go with friends. Make sure that you always have a person who's keeping an eye on you and that you can check in on. And look, these are very different cases. Sometimes it might be somebody with mental health issues, and it could be a suicide. Other times it's an attack. We don't know if it's a hate crime or if it's just a random attack because somebody was robbing somebody. But crime happens. Tragedies happen, and the best way you can prevent is by knowing your city, talking to your campus safety people about the safest ways to get on transportation, the safest places to be, and ensuring that you know that there are certain reckless behaviors that you should engage in. That obviously illegal drug use is not something you should be trying in the United States of America. That can be a pathway towards all sorts of bad things. So it was a series of those suggestions, and we're looking at how we can better package those together with the Indian government, just to let new students know, come to America. Statistically, it's going to be an extremely safe, very enjoyable thing. But to ensure that you aren't enmeshed in any tragedy, here are things you can do to protect yourself. If you can't pass your Indian Mitai test, and if you don't know your specifics, you're not going to do well. But if you do, Indians really connect with you. I think cricket and food are the ways to connect.
Yes.
I think when I visited Shahrukh Khan my first couple weeks here, and we talked cricket because, of course, he's involved as a cricket owner. He owns part of the Los Angeles team. Everybody in my office went nuts. They're like, "Oh my God, did you know who you met?" I said, "Yeah, Shahrukh Khan," but I didn't realize the level of love that there was across the country.
Yes.
And it's an amazing thing
He's
to see
quite a
Bollywood,
legend.
to see cricket, to see food. To me, that's the fun of this job, is not just policy, but people. Because in the end of the day, people will come and go who are politicians. But if we know each other, that will sustain for our lives.
Because that's what your job initially was, right? You're more of a people's person.
Yeah.
You that's why there was talk about you running, and you went to the primary states also.
Yeah,
At that
yeah.
time, it was like, okay, he's going to be running for president. So you're more a people's person, and diplomacy is a lot about people-to-people
Exactly.
contact, right?
Yep. Yep.
And this relationship too, India-US relationship, people-to-people driven.
And I hope that I can bring more of the Indian people to America, because I think the bridge from here to America is very strong. Indians really know Americans, and everybody has a cousin or a friend or
Yes.
a child in America. Not enough Americans have come to India. You know, more American students studied in Costa Rica last year than here in India. They know a couple things, you know, they know butter chicken and naan, but they don't realize that Indian food is this incredible diverse tableau. They don't have enough experience visiting the places here. And I really want to bring more America and more Americans to India. And I hope that'll be part of my legacy as ambassador.